Hello there, Internet, and welcome to another episode of Weekly Art Tips. I'm your host, Ando, and today's going to be another critique video. So, we're going to be looking at Wookie13's gallery, and she sent over a couple images for us to look at, so let's dive right in. So, the first one we're going to be taking a peek at is Fiona. So, this is Fiona from Adventure Time, so it's very cute. I like the pose. So the first thing I want to say about this piece is this is a really appealing shape for the leg. That's really nice. The pose is very cute. It's a little weird that the shoulder is so high up on this one, considering that the arms are going behind her back. So I feel like that arm would probably go down a bit more. But all in all, it's a very, very nice, appealing pose. It's very cute. One thing that is really distracting is the black outline. That's not so distracting that it's a black outline, it's just kind of distracting that it just goes around specific parts of the body. Like, the black outline ends here. I feel like it would probably be maybe even a bit more like solid if it also continued with the rest of the hair as well, because you have it like going over the neck and you have it separating these two shapes over here, but just like when it gets into these kind of lighter colors, it makes these lines kind of disappear. So either stick with these colored lines all the way through or just the black outlines, but the way that it is kind of set up right now, it would look a bit better if you were to just kind of continue the lines from there. Or like I said earlier, changing the color, like maybe just instead of it being a black outline on the hair, you just keep with this nice yellow color here. As far as body shape goes, this is a nice appealing shape with like the hips and stuff. It's almost like a bell shape, so that's cute. The way that the shoulders are, it's very like triangular, that's very stylistic. The legs are really nice. I really like the way that they're set up. I feel like this leg is a bit wider than this leg, so maybe just kind of shaving a bit off here so that the widths are the same, or adding more to this leg, but just to keep it more consistent. The way that the leg bends here, like anatomically speaking, is not necessarily correct, but it looks correct for this image, just the way that the style is, so I have no complaints about that. The feet are very adorable. I like how they just kind of go straight down. It reminds me of like the Powerpuff Girls, where they have kind of these circular feet. So that's very cute. The way that her head is shaped is fine. The way that the hair is absolutely spot on as well. I love the way that the ears look. These are really appealing shapes for the ears. Those are great. The hat ears, they're not her actual ears. And as far as the face goes, I know in like a lot of chibis and stuff, it's not necessarily typical to add a nose, but I feel like maybe adding like a little button nose wouldn't be a bad thing. Just because there's a bit more detail in the eyes than you normally get with like chibi stuff, where you have like these nice eyelashes and then you have like the pupil of the eye and stuff. I don't know, but that's just a personal preference, but the way that the face is still very well executed and it's very cute. I must say, you have fantastic shading. Like on the skirt right here, that is a great fabric fold. That's amazing. Same with all of the shading and stuff, which kind of brings me back to that black line again, is you have all of these really delicate, beautiful shadings, but it's just like this big black line is all I end up seeing. So finding just a way to kind of tone that down, it will really bring out the beautiful shading here. Like right here, where you have the line, like the shadow line on the leg, that is so delicate and beautiful. But then you have like the black line here that ends there, and my eye just sticks on this black line. As far as shading is, it is very light, so maybe keeping the lightness with your shading, but then in like a few key spots, like maybe here and here, and just these places where like your colors kind of almost blend together, just adding an extra dark shadow, just like a slightly darker shade of those colors will really add much more three-dimensionality, and it'll keep your eyes from getting lost in these specific areas, because like right here, her hairline kind of disappears into her face skin because they're so close together, just like with how their brightness is. But just like adding an extra dark shadow somewhere will really pull them apart and help you differentiate the different shapes a bit better. But as far as everything else, this is a really solid and adorable piece. And just like as far as anatomy goes, like I said, it's not necessarily 100% anatomical, but the way that you have it stylized, it makes it look correct. Just my only suggestion would probably be, it's a little weird that the black line is kind of going over, like separating this arm, because this arm looks like it's coming out to the side the way that she's facing, but the way that the black outline is, it makes it look like her front is in profile. So it doesn't quite make sense that this arm is popping out. So maybe kind of getting rid of a little bit of that black line and just having it, like maybe having the black line end there and having the neck kind of going around like that will make that look a bit more correct. And adding a bit more of a darker line there will really help bring this arm out. And then maybe lowering it down a little bit would also help, just because the way that her arm is pulled back is so tight. But like I said before, with the style, it doesn't look incorrect. So, and I think that's all I'm going to say about this piece. It's very solid. So just a few things that need to be changed with like that outline, and this is absolutely wonderful. And I don't know, I assume that you added the black line to kind of differentiate her from the background. So maybe if you like change the background from white to maybe like a purple, or just something that is different than a blue color or a yellow color, so that way it'll help the character pop out. And it doesn't have to be a very dark background, but that's probably why I assume you did the black outline, was to just kind of have the character separate from the white background. So, solid work. On to the next one. So this is Vex, and I am not sure that I know what this character is from, so I assume it is an OC. So really nice design for the character. It's very interesting, horn style. But I do like the fact that it's not like these little tiny horns. You have like a really nice shape to it. It's kind of like a ram horn almost. So that's neat. The way that the face shape is, very, very correct, and I like the way that you have this shadow right around the neck. That's very well executed. You have, like, as far as the anatomy goes, everything looks pretty well correct. It's just right here on this arm. This arm looks like it's coming out from an odd direction, so like kind of bringing the arm up like that a bit more would be probably a bit more correct, but maybe even just scooting this arm up a bit, so like having the arm this way, so like there would be the hand and there would be the rest of the arm. That would be a bit more correct, because the way that the arm is right now, it kind of goes down a bit longer than it should, because even the elbow on this arm is over here, so that's still a bit too long, because I assume this is the shoulder. So yeah, just kind of scooting that arm up a bit would help that out. The legs look really correct, except here, so the leg is going to be connecting to the body here, but there's kind of like this weird gap here, so technically it should be connecting down that way, so maybe scooting this leg up a tad too, because just like this little white space here is a bit confusing. But other than those two things, the anatomy is pretty correct. She has a like very nice detail to just like where muscles go. because like that's, or not muscle as in like she's buff, but just where the muscles of the legs kind of lay, you do get that kind of V shape, and you do get this little line down the middle of your stomach. And so she's clearly sitting on something, her hand's resting here, her foot's here, her other leg is dangling off of whatever she's sitting on. It would be kind of nice to see exactly like what kind of thing she is sitting on, because it isn't quite the same height. So maybe she's like on a rock face or something that has like an irregular shape instead of something that's like straight across. So it would be interesting to see exactly where she is, because the way that she is portrayed, I assume that maybe she's like in some sort of fire and brimstones area. So, but as just like a character sketch is what we're going to be focusing on. So that's really irrelevant to what this image is. I just would want to see a little bit more, like if you were going to be doing a character concept, it would be cool to see like what kind of environment she inhabits. So as far as the coloring, again, you have a really nice delicate way of shading the way that the legs are and everything. Like this is a really nice shade. You have really nice shading like here. It's very delicately done. Everything is nice and smoothed out. You don't have any jagged edges, so that's really nice. And you have like this kind of fur. It would be nicer to see, like you do have lighter parts here, but it's just so delicately shaded that it's like you don't have enough contrast. I will say that where the fur connects with the skin is very beautifully done. I like the way that it kind of just merges into the skin. It really does look like hair follicles coming out, so that's great. The way that the trident that she's holding seems a little bit more two-dimensional than everything else in the image. It would have been nice to see maybe like a shadow here, just like on the trident, to see exactly like if it's like a shaped metal or if it's just like a cylinder, what kind of shape it has. Because as it is right now, it's very graphic, and it would be cool for like a logo, but it doesn't look as three-dimensional as she does. Because you have like, even with like the horns and her clothes and just like two-dimensional stuff, there's still this really delicate shading that's very gorgeous. It'd be nice to see some of that brought into her little trident over here. As far as her face, I feel like the nose kind of goes a bit far off her face, but she is kind of tilting her head, so maybe if you just kind of brought it in slightly, not very much because it's still going to be facing to the side of her head, but just the way that it is right now, it seems like her nose is very, very pointed off. Like if she was looking in profile, her nose would be like that long from her face. So anyways, the mouth is very well done. I really like the way that you have the teeth and the lips, that just very appealing. And her cool glowy eyes, they're very bright yellow, and so it draws your attention directly here. So it's like when you first look at the image, you see all of these very, very warm red tones, and then your eyes are just drawn right over here to these bright yellow eyes. So that's very cool, and the fact that she doesn't have any pupils is kind of unnerving. So you're like, oh, that's not exactly what eyes are supposed to be like. So it makes you kind of do that, oh, well, that's kind of worrying. So this character is definitely like a femme fatale kind of like darker characters that is working very well. And pretty much the last thing I'm going to say about this image is the same with the last image, just maybe pushing a few darker shades just in a few locations. Like you have like here, that is exactly what I'm talking about, where you have like a darker shade right over here. That kind of just pushing the shadows will really make your character pop much more, because right now the darkest thing on the image is her hair and her hooves, but like when you add just a little bit more like shadow just in a few locations, and then you have like a nice highlight here, but if you even push that a bit higher and you had like a brighter highlight, then that would really make the character look much more three-dimensional. But as it is, you have a great talent for making really, really nice shades, so everything just melds together so nicely. But if you were to add just like a couple more shades darker and lighter, then it would take everything out of like kind of local color and really give you just like a great dramatic lighting effect. So, and that is all I'm going to say about those two pieces. Really solid work, and if you just kind of tweak here and there, these are going to be so amazing. So thank you very much, Wookie13, for sending in pieces to be reviewed. And if anyone else is interested in having their work looked over, please send a note to the Weekly Art Tips group. In the meantime, check out Wookie13's work and show her some love. Alright, see y'all next time. Bye-bye.